it's actually healthy despite most people thinking it's not. Story 1. Being around dirt, especially for kids. Exposure to a natural, somewhat dirty environment helps your immune system develop properly, which in turn helps reduce the chance of developing allergies or immune system diseases, and even reduces some mental health issues. Citation. Story 2. Popcorn, without all the artificial butter flavorings and low-quality oils of course. Popcorn is a whole grain, and super high in fiber. As far as snacks go, it's about as good as it gets. Story 3. Full-fat Greek-style yogurt, better nutrition. It will leave you feeling replete. If you have it for breakfast, with a few berries, you won't fancy a biscuit for 11s. Story 4. Eating lots of eggs. I was helping my mom develop a post-heart bypass diet a couple of years back, and I was amazed at how dietary advice on eggs had changed. As I recall, the USDA recommendation which had suggested very limited egg consumption was entirely dropped in lieu of a consumption cap on saturated fat which technically would allow a dozen eggs per day. Similarly, the AHA had relaxed its recommendation to up to an egg per day, while recognizing that that was a conservative reading of the most recent meta-analysis of dietary cholesterol consumption studies which IRC showed no correlation between dietary and blood cholesterol for up to 1 egg per day, weak correlation for 1 to 2 eggs per day, and no correlation above 2 eggs per day. So she enjoys consumption of eggs but alas doesn't get bacon with them. Story 5. A well-balanced burger, fats, protein, carbs, some vitamins and fiber from salad bits, especially at home so you can control the amount of oil etc. The issue is more than people have the burger, and then 1000 kilocalories in fries, a 600 kilocalories milkshake and some garlic sticks as well. Story 6. It depends. Broadly claiming something healthy lacks the nuance that things do not exist in a vacuum. The dose matters and the some things are beneficial in some contexts, age groups, disease-free status, diets and not others. Comparison group also matters. Like an oil might have positive properties but give off carcinogenic compounds if used at extremely high heats. I'm overthinking it. Story 7. To a certain degree, fat. There was a misunderstanding that if there's fat in your food and drink then it will go straight to your waist if you eat it. Not true. This gave birth to all these low-fat foods where they took the fat out and replaced it with sugar, which the body will just convert to fat. So they replace the sugar with sugar substitute, which again just primes your body to absorb any real sugars you do eat, and turn them to fat. Yeah, it's true there are good and bad fats, but you're generally better off eating the food with fats than any of the low-fat alternatives. Story 8. Hamburgers, at least when they're homemade. Coffee in moderation, staying up late and getting up late if you're a night owl, plotting revenge, but not going through with it, taking your glasses off when you don't need them, lying in bed a lot at least compared to sitting a lot. Story 9. Eating fat, even setting aside the whole healthy versus unhealthy fats thing. Fat is a critical nutrient. Even if you're trying to lose weight, foods containing moderate amounts of fat are a great way to lower your calorie intake if you struggle with hunger appetite. Story 10. It is really healthy to process some emotions and thoughts on your own. I know I'm on Reddit saying that, so that's likely an unpopular opinion, but the people who have the most peace and clarity are people who can sort, experience, sit in, and evaluate their feelings without having to put it out to other people for other people to tell them what to think, feel, and do. Story 11. Whole foods like eggs, potatoes, butter, and real bread. People freak out over carbs or fat but ignore that the real danger is the garbage the U.S. lets into processed foodstuff banned in most other countries. Hey race, what's hiding in U.S. food that's banned elsewhere? Red 3, red 40, yellow 5-6, blue 1-2 linked to hyperactivity, allergies, and cancer risks, banned or restricted in Europe. Brominated vegetable oil BVO banned in Europe. Japan causes thyroid and nerve issues. Potassium bromate carcinogen, banned in Europe, Canada, China, still in U.S. Bread. Azotic carbonamide ADA yoga mat chemical, banned in Europe, Australia. Propylparaben hormone disruptor, banned in the EU. RBGHR BSD growth hormones in U.S. Dairy, banned in the EU, Canada, Japan. BHA, BHD, TBHQ preservatives banned, restricted elsewhere for cancer and immune risks. The problem was never real food. It's the ultra-processed, chemical-laden garbage that somehow passes for food in the U.S. Story 12. Lard isn't just fat, it's culinary sorcery, the nectar of the hog gods, the reason your nan's roasties could end wars. People are out here slandering lard while slapping margarine on toast like it's not one molecule away from plastic. Meanwhile, lard is natural and delicious and has been making food taste like victory for centuries. Want health? Lard. Want flavor? Lard. Want to unlock ancient greasy knowledge and ascend to crispy enlightenment? Lard. Praise be to pig. Story 13. Being a little overweight, especially in middle age and above, and specifically for women, being heavier makes you less frail, it keeps your bones strong, it gives you more energy reserves to weather illness and stress, and it helps produce estrogen post-menopause. Women who are slightly overweight live longer and healthier lives than those who have lower BMIs, provided that you are otherwise healthy, i.e., normal cholesterol and triglycerides, normal blood pressure, normal vitamin D and iron levels, normal thyroid function. It is perfectly healthy to be overweight. Story 14. Fruit. There are people out there, I work retail cashier I know, that think fruit have too much sugar. I had a woman full on believe the sentence. She said I'm being bad and getting a banana, It's my sugary treat be so real RNOMFG. Sugar isn't the enemy people, moderation and sugar our body can process easily is the key. Honey, maple syrup, sugar in fruit and less processed not bleached sugar is fine. Pure cane sugar is yummy. Your generic sugar has so much stuff in it. The less processed isn't bad since we need some of it the better. Story 15 Fruit juice. I kept seeing people online talking about how bad it was. I asked my doctor, and she said so long as you're not drinking that refined sugar-added juice like Kool-Aid or Hawaiian Punch, but actual fruit juice, you're fine. She said a glass of orange juice at breakfast is healthy and a great source of vitamin C and B12, I think she said B12. She also said not to drink liters of it a day, but actual fruit juice is healthy in moderation. Story 16 Abstaining from if you don't want to deal with the consequences of. This is highly controversial, especially on this app, especially when it's not just directed towards men. Story 17 I think the takeaway here is everything in moderation, and that is just annoying to hear as an adult as it was in PE when they hammered it into my head. Story 18 Jorking it. In all seriousness, it relieves stress and anxiety, and has plenty of other health effects. You won't go blind or grow hair on your palms either. Story 19 This is still debated, but there have been studies that nicotine is good for you in moderation. Tobacco is still very carcinogenic and people connect those two generally because of cigarettes, but there are safe ways to only have nicotine like gum. There is research into nicotine's potential protective effects against Parkinson's and Alzheimer's diseases. Of course it's situational. It can increase heart rate and it's incredibly addictive, so you need to have a good heart physically and take it in moderation, but as someone whose entire male line has all died from Parkinson's, I would say it's healthy for me to chew this gum. Story 20 Counting your calories. There is a whole world of people who want to convince you that this is automatically disordered or mentally unwell behavior. Story 21 Diet soda. Okay, it's not healthy per se, it's not as good as water, but it's not nearly as bad for you as full sugar soda. It has 0 calories. The bad things are the sodium may make you cling to water weight, and possibly lead to health problems later in life, and the caffeine can disrupt your sleep even if you have a strong caffeine tolerance. And sleep is vital to fat loss, overall health, etc. Story 22 Classic psychedelic drugs like shrooms or LSD used with care and in an appropriate setting. This stuff is absolutely harmless for your body, allows you to connect to your inner self and have a new perspective on your life, your relatives, and the world you live in. I've seen many friends having their life changed after such an experience. There's still dangerous tools that can up your mind quite a bit if you don't show respect and do stupid things with them, but the overall risk-reward ratio is way better than most people believe. Story 23 Put baby on the floor. Babies don't always need to be in a bouncer, swing, jumper, walker, rocker, chair, etc. They do great on the floor in a safe space. Story 24 Eating dandelions. I guess people don't think they are unhealthy, but rather that people don't realize they are healthy, and some were even imported as food crops. Story 25 Keeping your upper lip and lower lip together. It helps with staying quiet, but also makes it hard to eat contaminated foods, drinking unclean water, and reduces your stress level by minding your own business. Story 26 Not wearing a fitness tracker. Maybe this one doesn't apply to everyone, but some people, myself included, cannot wear a fitness tracker without becoming obsessed about all the data and metrics. Constant anxiety about health and exercise is worse for you than getting 1,000 less steps per day. Story 27 Being angry. It's a part of your emotions, and you get people that suppress or avoid it then have a meltdown because they can't control it and get overwhelmed. Story 28 Eating rice. I ate a diet of all my meals involving rice, meat and green veg and I lost weight. Never had that happen with just meat and veg. I'm not sure why it works, but adding 1 cup of rice made a huge impact. Story 29 Pizza. Lately there's a discourse that eat not actually healthy and some people consider it junk food. An original Neapolitan pizza is basically bread, tomato, mozzarella cheese and toppings. Of course if you look at Americans that put a whole chicken and ranch on top of it, you can consider it too much. But if it's just a margarita or like vegetarian pizza, it's actually healthy and offers you most macro categories of nutrients. Story 30 It has always shocked me when people try to demonize fruit because it has so much sugar and carbs. It also has a ton of vitamins, minerals, fiber, etc. that is extremely good for you. On the same subject, I have a relative that almost never buys fresh berries, always frozen. Your oatmeal would taste 1,000,000 times better if you bought fresh berries, froze those, and used them later, instead of the micro pea-sized flavorless frozen you keep buying. Story 31 There was this myth, I don't know if it's around the world, but surely in my country, that weight training is not good for a child. Basically all kid athletes do it. Story 32 Potatoes. Especially with the skin on, they are nutritionally dense, low-calorie and surprisingly high in vitamin C. They just get a bad rep because we make them into unhealthy things like fries and potato chips. Story 33 Canola oil has very similar properties to olive oil. If you compare the nutrition facts label, coconut oil is high in saturated fat. Saturated fat contributes to your bad cholesterol. Story 34 Chocolate. The right kind, dark chocolate with 80 or more cocoa, has massive amounts of extremely healthy stuff in it. It makes your body release stem cells in the blood which repair about almost everything. Story 35 Sugar. Like it's the purest form of fuel for your body, sugar, carbs, etc., all demonized by the diet culture. As most foods, everything in moderation is good. Story 36: The low-fat diet of the 90s. Fat is crucial, no getting around that, but many are eating much more than their weekly requirements. Same can be said about protein. The fruit before noon protocol was actually quite ahead of its time. Story 37: Something people don't necessarily realize is important in a healthy way of eating, is for it to be highly varied. It's common to see people counting calories and macros, but I recently read that ingesting 20 to 30 different types of vegetables and fruits every week is a solid base for a healthy gut microbiome, which affects both physical and mental health in a big way, and that too some nutritionists view calorie counting as a temporary tool to be used with people with actual eating disorders, and something they need to be weaned away from later on, to build a healthier attitude towards food, with an eating system that utilizes actual hunger, not cravings, the sense of satiety instead of numbers, and eating slow enough the satiety system has enough time to react. Story 38: Carbs and fat soils. Most people who are caught in the calorie trap think it is a shorthand for healthiness to have less calories. It is far more complicated than that. Also, carbs are a huge category of bodily structural materials that cannot be cut out without severe consequences. Most of the time people have trouble with carbs because they have been pulverized into becoming essentially the same thing as simple sugars and chemically stripped of their micronutrient profiles, and because common carb sources are grown with chemicals that devastate gut microbiomes. Oils are extremely important to get a good profile of, as your nerve tissue is almost completely made up of fats, especially the brain. Cut out calories and oversimplification that isn't actually healthily useful, and oils get cut because they have the most caloric density, which prevents you from losing weight because you aren't eating enough oils to replace the oils being used to construct and repair your brain, so your body tries its hardest to hold onto its fat stores, and your mind degrades into using less than ideal adipose deposits to repair and fuel your brain. Story 39: Doing things that makes you positive, even if it is not good for your health. If you think positive that I am healthy, I don't have any problem or health issue, so it can change the way how it works. Story 40: Fats. Good fatty food will almost always be better than high-carb sugar foods. Also, diet soda is a much better alternative to regular soda. We are not meant to have hundreds of grams of sugar every day. Sugary soda is the reason America is fat. Story 41: Sugar intake. When you work out often, a lot of people go on a no-sugar diet and start working out to lose weight, but sugar will provide much-needed energy for your training sessions to actually be intense, thus driving results better. Story 42: MSG. Monosodium glutamate. People still think it's unhealthy or toxic, but science has debunked that for years. It's just a flavor enhancer, and unless you're specifically sensitive to it, which is rare, it's totally safe. Plus, it can help you reduce sodium overall because you use less salt. Story 43: Struggling. Yeah, your kid does need to learn time management and how to beat procrastination. Keep trying with a math problem. Dosing them up on Adderall at 10 is not the solution. Story 44: Diet soda is just fine, especially in the context of one of the absolute dumbest jokes of all time. Holy, you got an extra large double cheeseburger meal and a Diet Coke. I haven't heard that type of thing in a while though, so maybe people understand these days. Story 45: Chicken shish kebab. Grilled seasoned meat, chili sauce, salad and bread. Got to be the healthiest late-night snack. Clearly not the cheap doner meat we get in the UK. Story 46: Stir-fry is the healthiest way to eat it, but it's how people prepare it that makes it unhealthy. Exposure to dirty things. If you constantly use hand sanitizer and live in a germ-free bubble, your body will never develop immunity to things which could be trouble down the road. Story 47: Diet sodas. If we look big picture, artificial sweeteners do have an associated increased risk of all-cause mortality, but compared to being fat, obesity is astronomically more risky. While diet soda doesn't help everyone lose weight, if it works for you, it's actually the healthier choice. Like a lot of health issues, people will stop eating red meat or carbs, or whatever to get 0.5 benefit, but continue with their 50 risk behavior guilt-free. These types of things need to be quantitatively evaluated.